Whoa! Guys, we are floating through space right now. I created this brand new setup. Very stupid, I'm pretty sure. But you know what? I've transcended into the fourth dimension. I'm no longer a three-dimensional being, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to have the stream reflect that I am in another dimension now. Let me know in the chat if we're all ready. You guys can hear me? I see you, but no sound. Uh-oh. It says the mic's on. No one can hear me? Or is your computer just muted or something? Ooh, what's going on here? Yako, you're scaring me, man. Yako's out here scaring me, pushing mute on his own computer, and then blaming me. I don't like it. Grout Daddy is in here. He's enjoying these new graphics. I'm pretty sure by the end of this stream, people are going to have a seizure. I look washed out. I updated the streaming thing today, so the audio should be good. And the video, I don't know. Is Yako horsing around again? All right, we've got Prod Murky. We've got Victor Ray. We hear you, but low. I could try to crank it up. Or maybe position this mic right into my mouth. How about that? So as you guys can see, we have a new system this time around. Here, I'll crank up the mic. Volume range. Let's crank this little daddy up. There we go. Now I'm blasting in your ear. The video is still a bit 2008. Maybe my computer can't handle. You know what? Maybe it's because my computer's in the fourth dimension. Your guys' computers are still in the third dimension. So maybe the transmission into a lower dimension is causing this issue. When there are more moving graphics, other parts of the video will decrease in quality. Maybe I shouldn't have had so many stupid graphics on my stream. Pitts Productions is in here. What do you guys think? Should I... Does it even matter how I look, guys? I mean, is that really a big thing here? How about this? Let me know in the chat. Should I get rid of some of these wacky graphics? Or are we all just having fun? So the new system is going to be... Everything's going to be through Discord. No more email horseplay just because I thought, what's the point? I'm doing them randomly anyways. Audio's still a bit low. Holy smokers. It's at 100% now. And I'm cranking it up even more, I think. So yeah, like I said, am I trying to hypnotize you guys with the graphics? That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I want people to join me in the fourth dimension. Use a slow fade type thing, maybe. Maybe. Anyways, the Discord, that's where I'm going to get all the beats from. As you guys can see, we have an under review section right up there. So I'm either thinking I'll grab beats randomly, or when I finish one beat and I go to look for the next one, whoever has submitted at the very last moment, I'll grab their beat. Maybe I'll switch it up back and forth, but nonetheless, I see no reason to use the email system anymore. People are gonna be crying and hooting and hollering as usual. They always ask, what's he grabbing the beats from? I can't see. So whatever, it makes no difference really. Kemi says he likes the background visuals, but the two on the left are making him trip. That's the point, man. I want you to trip out, man. Yeah, the shapes are alright, but the bubbles probably cause the most issue because they span the whole screen. That's like the funnest one though, man. That's my favorite one. I think maybe... What if I just do some crazy stuff like this? Whoa! How does this look without the background? Now look how boring and plain this looks. This isn't as much fun. Would you guys rather see this wacky wild background or me? You know what, we'll figure out later. Let's just start with a beat review. Ian McKay says drugs are bad. Depends on the drug, I would say. Here we go. I'm going to start with the first beat. As you guys can see in the under review section in the top right, that's what the beat is that we are reviewing. Let me know in the chats what you guys think of the beat. It does make a difference, especially when you don't work for knowledge. I don't know what that means. If you decrease the speed, it won't have to update pixels. It's a GIF, unfortunately, so I don't know if I can decrease the speed. Picture, GIF, keep source in memory. Maybe if I turn that down. Whatever. You know what? We'll figure this out next time. Let's start off with the first beat review. Aluworth, he had a sexy beat last time. So let's listen to this new beat here. It's called It's Over. Let us begin.
Aluworth.
right, guys, that was Aluarth's beat called. Where's my Discord? It's Over. Ollie type beat. Sounds like the chat really liked it. I agree with the chat. Soren says turn off the graphics. Guys, I'm enjoying the graphics, but here, let's quickly try how this looks. Which graphic should I turn off? Let's turn off this one here. All right, let me know if the thing has improved. I was enjoying it, but you guys have decreed that my fourth dimensional stream is not for you. Anyways, on to the beat. As I said, I really like the beat. There are lots of elements in the beat that I like. And I was just thinking back to last week with those beats that we listened to with like the string samples in them, and how I mentioned how it's just so hard to get your strings to sound real and authentic. And I think Aluarth did a great job of that in this beat. The strings just sounded great. They sounded, they didn't sound cheesy like they're from a Casio keyboard. So I think that was done very, very well. Like Nairo Beat said in the chat, I really love the bass that was used in here. I'm just a sucker for like really subby bass that have like nice glides to them and everything. And so I really love that about the beat. The vocal, the percussive, using that vocal sample as a percussive tone was really cool as well. That's something that I really love to hear in, I know Arca does that in a lot of FKA Twigs beats from back in the days, and that's a really cool style. So that was really awesome to hear. As well, he forewent using typical hi-hats and used a percussion loop, that little shaker loop. Really added a cool layer of detail and a unique rhythm to the beat. Just a lot of things that were really done well. The idea of the beat was very cinematic, emotional, and I think it was perfect. Nesty Beat says, can hear Eminem on it. That's a big compliment. I think in terms of some small, tiny details, if I had to nitpick, that could maybe help this beat. As Ishu said, adding some reverb on the rim, he mentioned that might be a good idea. I think to some degree or another, adding some reverb to some elements in the beat. Doesn't have to be every single one, but just creating some depth in the beat would have been nice. I think maybe a good idea would even be to add some reverb on that vocal sample, because I think that's one of the other details on the beat that I think could have been improved. The vocal sample itself was really nice. It fit perfectly with the beat. I think it was a bit dry. It was very forward in the beat, and I also think that Aluarth used the exact same sample like back to back and sort of looped it over and over again. And it's sort of, as you know, if a real vocalist tried to do that, they wouldn't get the exact same tone out of it every single time. So it didn't really feel as smooth as I would have liked it. And I think maybe to alleviate that, just using some small layer of automation might have been an idea that you could go with. Something I might have tried would be to add some delay onto those vocals. And so that does a job automatically of pushing it a little bit further back into the beat. And then automating maybe the delay time, the feedback amount, the mix amount. And that way you have a little bit of like an in and out feel. Or if you want to automate the volume of the sample, or if you want to throw a filter on it and then automate a tiny bit of the frequency going up and down, just to add some sort of fluidity to that sample, just so it doesn't feel just as rigid and feels as much of a loop as it did. That might be a small little detail that could help the beat, but honestly, overall, like I mentioned, I'm getting nitpicky at this point. Very good job, Aluarth. I remember your very last time I listened to your beat. You did an excellent job as well. I'm happy to have Aluarth in our Discord because he makes great beats, as you guys can hear. So with that said, is the stream improved? Let me know, guys. Is the wacky graphics that I had hurting the beat? Hurting the stream? Because I love them, personally. While you guys let me know in the chat, I will be selecting the next beat. Is it going to be... Oh, I already found it. All right, guys. So I'm going to select the very last one that came on my feed. And then we'll do some wacky randomness maybe. I don't know, guys. Young Barl? Is that the pronunciation? Soren says he likes it better without the graphics. Fair enough. You know what? Not all of us want to be astronauts when we grow up. Personally, I'm a space crusader. But I can't blame you guys for... Turn them back on. It doesn't make a real difference. So am I still blurry then? That kind of sucks. I increased the bit rate. Layout is a lot nicer. The directions do have to be 90% of the screen though. True enough, because people are still asking in the chat, how do I submit? It's right in red, guys. I put it in red so it's as obvious as possible. All right, but let me know if I'm still blurry, because that kind of stinks. Nonetheless, everything's still working. Mic is still working. The audio is working. That's the most important part. We got this next beat here from this young rascal, Young Barl. Shoreline Mafia. Actually, I'm going to expand this out so you guys can see. Hey, wait, where am I? Yeah, I'm going to expand the Discord out. That didn't make a difference at all. I just screwed up my layout here, guys. That's all that did. I've made a fool of myself live on stream. Young Barl. Let's listen to this beat right now. There. That was a Young Barl. Very West Coast beat, as you guys can see. It's a YG West Coast type beat. I think the style of the beat was very well executed there. It sounded exactly like a West Coast beat, in that the big elements were in place in terms of the drums and that sort of synthy, bouncy bass line. I think a lot of what the people said in the chat was accurate. A lot of you guys are saying that there was some annoying loud sounds. On my end, there wasn't, so I'm wondering if that's an audio conundrum on my end. We'll listen to the next beat and see if that same thing comes up. Nonetheless, with the beat, I think a big room for improvement here were just the main components in the beat outside of like the drums and the bass. They just did not stand out to me. As Infection said in the chat, it felt like a very generic beat. And I think part of the reason why is because it sounded to me like a lot of these sounds in the beat were just stock sounds that were used, I would say, used well in terms of the musicality of them. Like you had that West Coast slide in there, and the instruments sounded like they were all doing the right things. I just think the textures themselves really held the beat back. What was that spike near the beginning? It sounded like a render error. Maybe that was, I don't know what that was. We'll see if that same thing happens in the next stream. But yeah, nonetheless, I think the big culprit here with this beat was just the textures didn't really seem all that unique, nor did they seem, I think someone in the chat mentioned that none of the things were gluing together. And I think it's because there was that sort of cold, detached feeling with all the textures, just because there was no, they were almost felt like they were just preset sounds with very little manipulation and very little control in terms of what parts of the beat they were taking up in terms of EQing certain sounds and making sure they fit well. So I would say to improve this beat, what I would probably do is just maybe try switching up some of the textures. I'm not sure where you got these textures from. If it is from like a stock FL Studio library, you're not going to find the best sounds in those types of plugins. So one of the things I always recommend is to beginners is buy Expand 2. It's a $15 plugin, and the sounds that you get in there are just so much better than the stuff that are in a lot of FL's libraries. So thank you, Grout. He's got this new automation, and hopefully people will learn how to submit. And we got that wait list for the new beat making course that was announced this week. I forgot to mention. Increase your volume. People are saying the mic is too quiet now. I can't satisfy you people. The mic, what? I thought I put this to 100%. Someone's horsing around in my settings. That's what's happening. But yeah, I announced a new course that I'm building. I've been working on it for the last month now, just writing scripts. I've been asking you guys what types of things you want to see in a beat making course, and I basically have been putting together a course addressing every single thing that a lot of people struggle with, like choosing the right sounds for their beats, turning loops into full beats, how to start a beat the right way, just tons and tons of like, you know, how to choose the right drums, drum patterns, bass patterns, mixing and mastering. I'm also going to include some things about marketing. I'm not sure if I actually mentioned it here, but I actually went to business school, got a degree, I got a major in marketing. I spend hours and hours reading marketing books and all that stuff. So I think I can impart some knowledge on people in terms of marketing and just getting you guys started on some of the things that I've done to grow my YouTube channel in the last year and a few months it's been up so far. But yeah, if you guys are interested, check out the link as Grout Dog mentioned, or the yellow link right above my head up there. Check it out and join the waitlist. And it's going to come out spring 2021 probably. I'm going to start filming in the next month, and then editing's probably going to take like 2 months. Yeah! Are you going to go into 7 plugins needed and how to use them? No, I think what I am, well, it depends. If you guys want to see those types of videos once you join, I'm going to be adding more stuff into the course as we go along and giving you guys more free loops and more kits. By the way, those are also things that come with the course. So you guys can let me know if there's things that you want to see in the course, but like my YouTube, I like the idea of teaching from first principles, giving you guys concepts of like how to apply these ideas no matter what type of beat you're making. And so if I make a video on like, here's how to use this one plugin, that's not going to be that useful, but an idea that I actually had is how basically all plugins work. That was an idea that I might pursue if you guys want to see that in the course. a basic idea of how you can go into any plugin and understand how to use it and make changes to your sounds really easily. Because that's something I used to struggle with when I first started making beats. I'd open up a plugin, there'd be thousands of dials, thousands of faders. I'd be like, I don't know what any of these do. But after you sort of understand how one synthesizer works at a fairly good level, you'll sort of see that pretty much every single plugin works the exact same way. Nonetheless, Paul AG says he gave up. I'm here for the meat review. Someone's getting sexy in this chat. And yeah, let's move on to the next beat review. Which one am I gonna review? We're gonna review this very spooky one right here. Oh wait, here we go. Where'd it go? We've got T99MO. He's got this little submission here for us. A 90s scary boom bap beat, Dead or Alive. It's aggressive hip hop, guys. So you're probably going to end up beating up your loved ones after this beat. But just blame it on Axo Beats. So let's take a listen. I'm doing a little bit of a fade out there with Axo's beat because it's another minute and a half. And from what I've heard so far, I think we get the idea with that beat. So I think the structuring overall with the beat was left something to be desired, just because the intro was very long, as a lot of people in the chat mentioned. And with the variation in the beat overall, it didn't really feel like there was much. I think you did a good job in terms of like creating small amounts of variation throughout the verse sections. You had these different guitar notes and you pitched them up which I think was a cool detail. That definitely helped in terms of the adding variation to the verse, but I do think more variation is needed on a more macro level in terms of the overall beat arrangement. With the hook, all you did was just remove the drums, and that was pretty much it. And as a lot of people said, that's why they felt like there just was not enough variation, which is a difficult thing with samples, as you probably know. You did a good job with the sample in terms of creating smaller variation, but you're gonna have to figure out a way to add a larger variation and add more textures, add your own sounds into this beat in order to create, you know, a verse section, a chorus section, a bridge section, bring more variation, and just overall change to the beat on a larger scope. I think the drums were good in the beat. The sample itself was cool. It's a pretty unique sounding sample that you used here. I think you did a good job of chopping it up. Crappy Gacha in the chat said the bass was unappealing to him. I sort of disagree. I liked what was done with the beat. I think it was very smart. You made it very minimal in the beat, which, you know, if you use like a huge 808 or a constantly present bass, it would have gotten very tiring very quick. But I think you did a good job, and I think maybe just boosting up the level a tiny bit would have helped. But overall, what you did in terms of the production technique with the bass and the low end, it was well done. I think there was a lot of good ideas in the beat. I just think the execution on the grand scale in terms of bringing more variation to the beat overall might have helped, which is why a lot of people in the chat felt like it was somewhat repetitive. What are you Joker saying in the chat here? Any I don't know what's happening in the chat right now. So let's listen to the next beat. Here we go, guys. What's going to be the next beat? Let's go back in time to a beat that was already submitted. This is a new fella here. I don't think I've seen his name. This should be, actually wait, I think I've seen this fella before. But nonetheless, let's listen to Lucas GT's beat, drill type beat called Dizzy, produced by Lucas GT. Let's dive in. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. Leave your comments and constructive feedback. Let's go. It's over already? That was a very abrupt end. Yeah, I mean, you guys heard it in the chat. I think the thing that I'm walking away with this beat is that the mix was just very harmful to the beat overall. I'm not sure whether it was like completely over compressed and that's the issue, but like it was, as I think someone in the chat said, it's very flat sounding, and usually that is because it's completely over compressed. The low end as well was really unbalanced and all over the place. There felt like there was like no kick, and I think that might be because I don't know if you boosted some of the 808 frequency so high that the low end completely got choked out, or whether that is the problem in general, whether the 808 was just so loud that it completely choked out the rest of the sounds, and then you added some compression onto the master and it just completely killed the beat due to that. So I'm not sure what happened with your mix here, but it really did get in the way of what the beat could have been, just because I feel like with the idea of the beat, really cool concept. I like the sounds that you use. That loop was really cool. I think the drum pattern was fine. The arrangement was a little bit ADD, I would say. There's like a constant switch up every few bars. I would have liked to hear what the beat would have sounded like as just a sort of standardized type of structure. And yeah, I think there were definitely some good parts in this beat, some good ideas in this beat, but it was hard to gauge what this beat should sound like just because the mix was just so all over the place. And the structure was a little bit wacky as well. I'll say this, for me in my master chain when I'm making beats, I slap a limiter at the very end just so there's zero clipping. And I sort of, as I make the beat, I pay attention to what's happening on the master. Like if I add drums and there's a tiny bit going over the limiter and it's completely getting brick walled, I won't be too angry. I won't get too stressed about it, but I stay away from compression throughout the beat making process in general. I will add soft clipper onto the master right before that limiter, which, as I don't know if some people know what soft clipper actually is. They think it's a way to clip your beats. I'm not sure what that would even mean. What soft clipper is basically soft compression. It's a saturator essentially, and so it'll help glue all your sounds together and provide a tiny bit of compression. But I would say, especially if you're just starting out making beats, stay away from compressors. That's something that can easily mess your beat up, like we heard in this one here. Even for me, I get my beats to sound the way I like to get them to sound without using much compression. So yeah, that's my advice for all you guys. I would say to stay away from compression. I should play one of my beats and let you guys review it. Well, I play all my beats in every video I put out, technically, so you can leave your reviews in the comment section of any of my videos. That could be possible. Oh, you guys enjoyed that advice. Thank you very much. I use soft clipper in almost all my beats. Also for soft clipper, I'm not sure if FL Studio it does have a saturation tool in the limiter, or is it Maximus? Actually, it does have its wave shaper. So if you're gonna use saturation, I would recommend, if you're gonna use soft clipper on an individual sound, I was gonna say, instead of using soft clipper on individual tracks, maybe go for a wave shaper and using one of the presets that's a little bit a little bit less aggressive. But soft clipper is a pretty decent saturation tool. I just use it as a way to glue all my tracks together at the very end. But yeah, stay away from compression. That's my advice to people if they're just starting out. It has the saturation in limiter and Maximus, yeah. So it does have saturation tools in there. I haven't used them, so I'm not sure whether they're really all that great or not, but I know there is some pretty decent saturation in Wave Shaper that I like to use from time to time. So you only need to max your beats out at 0 decibel if you want to join the loudness war. So 0 decibels is as loud as a beat can go. And here's the thing I'll say also. I see some people complaining time to time, saying that, oh, my beats sound so good and so awesome in FL Studio, but as soon as I export them and I upload them to YouTube, they completely sound like garbage, and I don't know why. That's the exact reason why, because a lot of these platforms like Spotify, YouTube, and all that, they basically have their own audio algorithms when you upload things. And so if you have tons of distortion in your beats and things going completely over 0 decibels, it's going to cut that off. And so your beat's going to sound completely different when you upload it to these platforms because they don't want distortion, essentially. And so that's part of the name of the game when it comes to making beats. You need to figure out a way to get your beat to sound good when it's peaked at 0 decibels. And so that's why I always advise people, put a limiter on your master, because eventually your beats are going to get capped off at 0 decibels somewhere along the chain when you release them. So yeah, that's as hard as it may be. I know for me, definitely, when I used to start making beats, I would throw in snares and kicks that were just super loud. And whenever I'd slap on a limiter on the master, they'd completely disappear. And I'd be like, well, what the hell? I like the way this sounds when there is no limiter on. But that's unfortunately the name of the game. That's one of the things that's a challenge with beat making. You have to figure out a way to get your beats to sound good without going over 0 decibels. So yeah, that's some more random advice that's just in my brain that I'll say to you guys. We will do another review here, another beat from a young whippersnapper. By the way, you guys, some of you guys are submitting stuff from Google Drive and directly into Discord. I cannot review those. I need links, SoundCloud and YouTube. I should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry, guys. Whoa, what am I doing here? Let's slap this fella into the Discord because I'm about to review Sneaky Cows Beat Summer. I'm not sure what to expect from this. I've never seen such an adorable creature in a thumbnail. Usually it's very dark and aggressive thumbnails. So let's take a listen to Sneaky Cows Summer song here. right, that was the sneakiest cow of all time, Sneaky Cow, with his or her summer song. Interesting reaction from the chat. For me, I'm not a enjoyer of happy time music, but I'll just try to be objective here. Like I think I got what the beat was going for. I think it was very well constructed. It's going for that sort of Caribbean vibe, and structurally speaking, in terms of the drum pattern and the, well, I guess mainly the drum pattern, it was very on point in terms of what your idea was. The beat was obviously made to have a sort of uplifting, happy feel, and I think musically speaking, it did do that. I think one of the things I'll say though is that if you guys remember what I just said at the very first beat when I reviewed, strings are just very hard to get them to sound authentic and not very cheap and Casio-like. And I sort of lean towards that, unfortunately, with this beat. The string samples and the way they were put together, it didn't necessarily feel cohesive. It didn't really feel live and authentic. It sort of didn't really feel very digital and synthesized. So that was something that sort of hurt the beat for me, although, yeah, I don't know. Would this beat sound the same if it was sort of live strings? Maybe that's part of the appeal of the beat. That might be a subjective thing that maybe I'm missing. It's hard to say. The beat had a nice bounce to it, but yeah, I think overall what just hurt the beat for me was just the direction of the sounds that were used in terms of those strings. It just didn't really work for me. Yeah, it's really hard to critique this just because it's so far out of my sort of realm of what I usually like to listen to with happy time beats. Soren says he loves the happy time beats, so maybe he enjoyed the beat. But yeah, I'll say what I said 2 weeks ago. If you're just starting making beats, using string samples is a very tough thing to get them to sound authentic and live. So maybe if you're just starting, staying away from those sounds might be an idea, especially if you're using stock sounds. Like the string samples that are in most stock sounds are just very not well created. And if you look online, there's a reason why a lot of these orchestral plugins cost like thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's because it's just basically so hard to reproduce those types of sounds that a lot of these plugins literally will take actual live samples, people actually playing those instruments, and use that as all the sounds in the plugin. And that's why these things are like 50 gigabytes, just because those are all actual live string sounds that aren't synthesized. Someone asked, is the stream going to be up after? Yeah, there's a playlist on my channel called, what's it called? Live streams. This video should show up there eventually. So, Will Porter was the sneaky cow. He's a sneaky porter. That should be your name now, Sneaky Porter. Let's take a listen to the next beat. Oh, I haven't heard of this fella before. By the way, chat, let me know what you guys think of this new system. Is it working for you? Because for me, it seems to be working. You guys can see exactly what is being reviewed in that little review box. Let's make this bigger, actually. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. There's get rid of this part up top here, and we've got KO Beats, a Playboy Carti, Little Tekka, Juice World type beat. Error. But yeah, let me know if you guys enjoy the new system, and or do you guys want to go back to emailing? I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I don't think anyone's really having their lives affected by this. So let's listen to Air by KO Beats. short little beat there from KO Beats. Interesting beat here. So I really love the textures in this beat. Those pads in the beat are really awesome. I'm pretty sure the producer here came up with those chords himself, and those are really well done. Awesome sound, awesome direction of the beat overall. I really love the idea of the beat. As I say, I think I saw Ocelot in the chat saying the exact same thing. Some of you guys are saying that mute was very weird. I thought my stream was cutting out or something, but that was a very strange mute. I think some of the things that could have been improved was just the overall leveling. I thought the pads in the beat were a little bit too quiet. I would have loved for those to be a little bit more of a focal point in the beat, just because the beat was a little bit minimal in terms of the other textures. It wasn't much in terms of the musicality. You had those pluckier bell sounds, but those didn't necessarily feel like they were loud either. So choosing one of those sounds, either the pad or the bells, might have been, and making those be a little bit more of the focal point, whichever one you want to go with, that might have helped. There was a little bit of a strangeness in the low end as well, as a lot of people mentioned. I'm not exactly sure what it was. To me, if I had to guess, it was either the 808 wasn't set to cut itself off, and so whenever there was multiple 808s playing back to back, you got a sort of compounding effect, and it just created some weird overlapping. Or it's either that, or the kick might have had a resonant bass tone to it, and so whenever you had certain notes playing, the sort of runoff from the kick might have been overlapping with the 808 and causing that same issue. I'm not 100% sure, but I would say there needs to be a little bit more control in the low end. That was a little detail that you might want to go back to improve. But overall, I really loved the direction of this beat. It was a really cool sound, really unique sound, and that's what I love to hear, honestly. Luckily, I have not run into any guitar type beats so far. Let's hope and pray that still continues. But this to me is like the opposite of that. This is a very cool, unique sounding beat in terms of that cool pad, and that's exactly what I go for. Can I turn up the voice volume still? It's at, whoa, I accidentally muted it there. My mic is at 100%. Oh, maybe the little jigger at the back here. Hold on, guys. Let me check the back of the mic here. Does this help? Wait, hold on. If I go this way, I don't know what my mic is doing back here. Is this changing the volume? I don't know. Hopefully I didn't completely turn down my mic volume there. Oh wait, I can test the meters here. So if I turn this a little dial back here, let's see what happens. You know, these are the things I should be doing before I do live streams, not in the middle of my stream. But, oh, that does nothing. I see what that does. Whatever. I'll throw a compression tool on top of this mic afterwards. But, you know what? I don't know what the hell's going on. Who's spamming? Is some rascal spamming? Oh, KO Beats is in the chat. Well done, KO Beats. I really liked it. My voice is fine just in comparison. The music is super quiet. What, the music's quiet now? Ay. It's always something. The next beat. We've got someone who we all know. His name's Catalyst. He's a fantastic loop maker, so if you guys are looking for loops, he makes them. And he actually made a bunch of loops for my course. A really unique sound to his loops, so check him out. I don't think I've heard a full beat of his, so on stream at least. So let's listen to his non-loop making abilities here.
Oh, whoa. Slow down.
Alright, that was Catalyst beat, Ritual. Very interesting. The Catalyst sent me like a bunch of loops, and this is very different than the stuff that he gave me. It's very interesting to hear what is different from this full beat compared to his loops. I think, well, I'll start off with the beat itself here. I think the drums were really well done, very loud and very in your face as they should be. But I think the overall leveling, as Grup mentioned in the chat, could have been adjusted. All the other elements in the beat were kind of a little bit too low. The big thing in the beat was the 808 was just out of tune. It was not following, musically speaking, what the other elements were doing. But I feel like with Catalyst, with a lot of your loops, you do a great job of picking really unique textures and playing around with like depth in terms of like you'll have certain sounds be very dry, certain sounds be like very pushed back in the beat. And I sort of get the sense that like that was sort of missing with your beat here. If you just introduce a lot of those concepts and your approach when you're making loops and you added them to the actual beat making here, I think that would have helped the beat out, because a lot of those things that make your loops very special just felt like it didn't really show up with the beat here. It was very flat in terms of the sounds, the textures that were used here, like the unique sounds that I usually hear in your loops didn't really show up here. So yeah, it's very day and night from your sound that you use for your loops. So I would have liked to hear, I mean, just taking away your loops and just throwing the drums on that you have in here would have been interesting, and I think that would be a cool idea. But yeah, it's very night and day, Catalyst. Hopefully that's not a mean thing to say. Hopefully I didn't hurt your feelings. You are obviously a talented guy from hearing your loops, but I feel like a lot of what I've heard in your other creations was sort of missing here. Is he in the chat here? Where'd he go? Hopefully, Catalyst, I hope you're not crying right now. I still like you. The next little rascal that we're going to listen to is, let's do a little random one here. Oh, this one seems like a nice little song to listen to. You said you reacted to my beat, right? I got no idea, J-Kel. I'm not sure. Don't pile on him, guys. He's a very talented guy. Listen, shooters gotta shoot. We all miss sometimes, but I gotta applaud him for swinging. The next beat is by Dom J. DeMarco, 5 a.m. ISA. Well, let's dive right in. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. We are an hour into the stream. Tell your grandma about the stream. Kiss her while you're at it, because Christmas is coming up. And she deserves a nice kiss from you. As you guys can see above my head, I am opening up a course. So if you're interested, head over to my site and join up the waitlist, because there's going to be lots of bonuses, lots of free early access. I'm probably going to give a discount to the people who are on the list for like the first 24 hours. And so you don't want to miss out on that. So make sure you are you're on the list so you don't miss out. Formula says loops are hard to come up with. Yeah, it's interesting because his loops, like if you guys heard them, they're very high quality, very detailed. And so, yeah, it's interesting. Nesty says his grandma's dead. Well, sorry about that. Kiss her her urn then or something, if you have the urn there. I don't know. Here we go. 5 a.m. ISA from Dom J. DeMarco. It's over already, unfortunately. I was enjoying that, Dom. It's a very short beat. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat are digging it. I am too. It's a really cool, unique vibe. The vibe is very Timbaland. That's exactly sort of what popped into my head. There was a little bit of Timbaland parallel there with the unique texture just being a little bit formless in the beat, and it still sounds cool. Yeah, it's one of my things I took away from this beat. Really, really unique textures, really cool sounds. All the elements that you added into the beat also worked. I'm not sure whether the main loop in the beat was, a loop or something that you created yourself. I love the electric piano, and then the sounds that came in afterwards. Obviously, I'm assuming those are things that you programmed in yourself. The sort of organ stabs and that sort of weird, unique synth, the electric synth. Like I said, it's like a formless, wavy synth out of nowhere. Really unique sounds, and it really worked well with the beat. Very original, as Ducky says in the chat. Overall, I don't really have much to say in terms of the beat not working for me, because perfectly did. I would say maybe playing around with the levels, a little bit of a mix, boosting everything up a tiny bit. That might have helped, just because it was a tiny bit quiet on my end. I'm not sure whether that just might be a SoundCloud thing or something. The beat was short. I would have liked to see you push it a little bit more. To me, from what I've heard from this beat, it sounds like you know what you're doing in terms of the production level, putting your idea together, the main conceit of what you're going for. A challenge after that can be, how can you turn that main idea into a full song? It's hard to judge that in terms of this beat, just because it was only like a minute and a half. So if that is something that you sort of struggle with, or maybe you just thought, I'm not going to pursue this for now just because I don't know if this idea is good, I would have liked to hear this full beat, because I think it was a good beat. Good job overall, and I look forward to hearing some more of your beats, Dom Juan DeMarco. Catalyst is saying he sent it on purpose because that's the beat I made in the beginning days and thought to give it a shot, but I did make him cry. Well, you know what, Catalyst, you've obviously come a very long way. I'm very confident that your beats nowadays are probably much better based off of what you make in your loops. If you are crying, I'll fly over to where you live and give you a kiss to make it better. How about that? Here we go, guys. We've got... oh, this is another fancy beat here. A really cool image used for the thumbnail. It's the latest submission. Y6N, Jack Boys Master. Let's dive in. Let me know in the chats what you guys think about this beat. And let me know what do you want for Christmas, guys? What are you looking forward to? What is the item that you want? My mom just gave me my gift early. I don't know why. She sort of ruined Christmas for me. If you're watching, Mom, I don't know why you did that. I got a nice duvet set, because when I sleep, for some reason, my neck slides all the way up the wall and I end up sleeping like this. I don't know if it's like a weird comfort issue. So I thought maybe changing up my blanket might be an issue if I'm too cold at night. Maybe that's what's happening. Nesty Beat says his grandma's back alive. Good news, guys. So that's, yeah, let me know what you guys want for Christmas. Let's dive into this beat. was Y6N, Jack Boy's Master. Everyone pretty much in the chat is on the same page as me. I think Ocarina Dreamer said it the best. Everything in this beat works except for the low end. The textures were really, really cool. A really unique main loop. I think the switch up that you did between those two elements, I think that's like the hook sound and the verse sound, pretty much like a substitute in terms of the texture, but musically speaking, they're doing the same thing, which is a really cool technique. I really loved the sounds that were used in this beat. The only issue was the low end. The loop itself, it was a sort of, musically speaking, not a very complicated melodic loop. And so that usually gives you the opportunity to be very melodic with other elements in the beat. And I sort of feel like that was missed with this beat. There was a little bit of an attempt to be a little bit more musical with the synth bass, but the overall main driving bass, the 808, it was not moving much in terms of its sort of melodic nature. So I sort of feel like that was a missed opportunity, maybe moving the 808 to have a sort of overall more complicated progression might have served the beat a little bit better. As well, with that synth bass, there were really big issues there. There were certain times when a completely wrong note was playing that wasn't really falling in line with the key of the sample. And as well, you sort of layered the synth bass underneath the 808 bass. And so there's going to be conflicting bass tones, and musically speaking, it's just not going to really work. So you think whenever you use multiple basses like that, you sort of got to be aware of picking and choosing a specific window and being very deliberate with when one sound plays, maybe the other one shouldn't. Just because, like I said, you can have low tones overlapping, and that's when you get a huge mess on your hands. So I think if this beat addressed the low end, you'd have such a good beat on your hands. Just don't get too crazy with the low end. Maybe just starting from a more simplistic approach and just coming up with more of a progression rather than just playing the same 808 note over and over again. That might serve you better. Yeah, really cool sound, really unique direction with this beat. Just the low end was the issue here. It needs just two click. It's just two click us. I can't even speak English. Oh, that was Syed. Yeah, really cool beat though, Syed. Just that low end adjustment would be needed, and I think you'd be good. We are halfway through the stream, guys. My bladder's already blowing up, so I'm gonna go to the washroom real quick. Take this time to come up with your wish list for Santa. Some people said they want a 3080. I see people keep talking about what a 30. I don't know what a 3080 is. So while I go soil my pants, possibly, let me know what a 3080 is, because I got no idea. And we'll be back in 2 minutes. I'll make sure to push as hard as I can. Be right back, guys. right, fellas, I'm back. I did not pee my pants, so that's good news. Did you guys say what a 3080 is? I'm still trying to learn here, guys. Graphics card? I'd take an SP404. I bought my brother that Cyberpunk game. Hopefully, oh! Is it working now? What is going on here, guys? Are you guys tricking me? Did I just walk? Did you guys not know that I was going to the washroom that time? Was I just speaking into RTX? Oh, you guys, you tricksters. You pranksters, guys. You know what? I'm kicking everyone out and banning them, whoever pranked me. I don't want to look like a fool on the internet, and you guys did just that. You guys got me. You did me dirty, like Grout said. And I'm going to do you guys dirty back by banning you all. That's what you get. No one makes me look like a fool, except myself. We will continue on to this next little submission here. I did get punked. I got bamboozled. That's a great way of saying it. We're going to listen to Iswho's beat called Aries. Let's dive right in. I still have no idea what a 3080 is. Let me know what video games you guys are playing right now. Also, going back to the conversation we had last time, my brother said he started watching this anime called Attack on Titan. Is that something I should be watching too? Let me know if that's a good show to do a dive into the world of anime. Maybe I will check it out. But anyways, let's jump right in. Who's beat Aries. That was a wild ride. So I think there's parts of the beats that I liked. I think in the first half of the beat, the sort of main loop and the drums, everything sounded good to me. The issue here for me was the 808 was a bit too distorted. It took up way too much of the frequency space in the beat. Whenever the 808 wasn't playing during the first half of the beat, I felt like I got a good sense of like nice balance, and it wasn't too overwhelming. But as soon as that 808 started playing, it just took up way too much space, especially in the mid-range and the high end, especially when you start doing those slides. It went way up there in terms of its frequency. So for me, what I might have done is either control how much distortion I added onto the 808, or I would have put a filter or an EQ on top after the distortion if you like the way the 808 sounded after the distortion, and just peel back a lot of those frequencies so whenever you have a jump up in your pitch of your 808, it's not going to start intruding onto the sort of frequencies that the loop takes up, which is sort of that low mid-range. It's hard to gauge what this beat was, because if this was like a battle beat, if this is like a beat that you'd want to challenge someone to a fight to, that might work. Obviously, if this is a beat that you want to send out to an artist, they'd be like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do with this, just because this beat feels complete at this point. There's no space left in terms of what the artist could do. So on that base, it's hard to say what you're going for. So I can't really say, I can't really be critical. What I will say though is, whenever I hear beats from just solo producers, solo like instrumentalists, beat making, like solo beats that aren't supposed to have rappers on them and they still sound full and unique and good, what they do is they have a good sense of playing with space in multiple ways. So that could be, obviously what you did here was you had a good sense of filling up the entire frequency space with all your sounds. But in terms of like the overall depth, using reverb, and this is something I mentioned a lot, and use like playing around with foreground, middle ground, background, and playing around with stereo space, and overall creating context. That's something that's really important that I'm going to mention. In order for a beat to really get an audience, and if you're going to go loud and like balls to the wall, you sort of do need to create context, and having other sections of the beat be a little bit more minimal. And so I sort of feel like that didn't really happen with this beat. It felt like it was dial turned to 11 for the entire beat. And so it's hard to really have that huge build up, that huge section of the beat be as effective, just because there's nothing contrasting it as much, just because so much of the beat felt like it was balls to the wall right in your face. And a lot of the beats that I like to listen to, where it does have where it is like a solo beat and it still sounds good, they do a good job of going up and down in energy. They'll sort of pick a section where things get a little bit more conservative, a little bit more minimal, and then when they want to bring the energy up, that's when they bring on all their sounds. So that might be something that you want to play with, playing around with the structure and playing around with context and creating it. When I first started making beats, I really felt awkward to go a little bit more minimal and not have as many layers in my beat, just because I felt like, well, I can add more, so I should. But just because you can add more into your beat doesn't mean you should. You should sort of think about the music that you like to listen to and how they play with context, how they play with layering, and creating a sort of experience that changes throughout the beat in terms of how much is going on and what you feel in terms of the overall energy level. So that might be something that you want to sort of explore in terms of what your beat is doing. So that is my review on that beat. Byron in the chat said, what does my course offer that other courses don't? I mean, I haven't taken other beat making courses. I don't know what's out there, but what I will say is, take a look at my YouTube page. If I feel like to you I'm someone who's knowledgeable, that's something to take into consideration. I've been making beats for more than 10 years. I've gotten placements. I've worked with artists. I've jumped over and made music for video games. And for me, that's when I sort of felt like, here's something I'll say. Might be mudslinging. This might be talking baloney about other people on YouTube, but I won't get to specific names. This is more just my own experience with making content on YouTube. For me, when I first started making beats, the idea of making tutorials when I was just 2-3 years in seemed like it was negligent. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really feel like it would be good for me, or it would be ethical for me to go and start making videos and tutorials and say, hey, this is how you should start making beats. Meanwhile, I barely know what the hell I'm doing. There's this guy named what's his first name? Nicholas Taleb. I can't remember his first name. That's his middle and last name. He has this concept, this book called Skin in the Game, where he talks about one of the things that he talks about is, should you trust people who are in academia because they've never gone out into the real world and tested their ideas, their theories to see if it actually works? They live in theoretical land. They never subject themselves to any sort of environment where they're going to have any critical feedback and see if they can pass, or their ideas can sort of live on their own and live up to scrutiny and actually survive. And for me, that's when I finally felt like maybe I should do this YouTube thing. After I made beats for like 10 years, you guys can see on my Twitter, on my Instagram, on my YouTube, I didn't say shit for 10 years, didn't put out any content just because I felt like I need to learn more. And once I got to the point where, I could make music for artists, I could jump over and make music for video games. I can send my music out to branded content and they say, I want to use your music for the bedrock of my video. Once I put my ideas out there and I sort of felt like I had enough people saying, yes, your ideas are good, these are things that do work, these are things that I want to use. It was only at that point where I started putting out my own information and throwing my hat into the ring and saying, this is what I know to be true, this is what I think to be true at least. Here's my experience, and this is sort of why I think a lot of people say my videos make sense, because I teach from first principles after doing so much experimenting on my own, teaching you guys the core concepts. Whereas I'm sure if you watch videos of people who've only been doing this for a couple of years, you can sort of see they don't really know what they're talking about. And they say things like, this is what you want to do, add a vibe. You want to add some vibes when you're doing your drum patterns. Make sure there's a good bounce in it. And whenever I see shit like that, I'm just like, well, what the fuck does it even mean? What one person thinks when they talk about add bounce into your drums, that can mean something completely different. It's just like complete nonsense. From person to person, it's different. They use a lot of these nonsensical words. So in terms of whether you should listen to me or not, that's sort of my spiel. If you feel like I have not accomplished enough and that you want to go look to someone who has, multiple Grammys, multiple, whatever, huge mansion, and you think that's the only person I want to listen to, I can't say shit. Go ahead and, that's a good idea for you at that point. If you're not comfortable listening to me because I have not an extensive enough resume, or if I don't seem like I understand the concepts that I'm talking about and you feel like that sounds like bullshit, I can't blame you for jumping ship. But I will say, just scrutinize whatever content you watch on YouTube, see if it makes sense to you, and choose the people you listen to wisely. And I include myself in that boat. If you don't want to listen to me, if you don't think whatever I teach, or even with this course, if you don't think it's going to be worth it to you based on the stuff that I present, and you're sort of apprehensive, you're on the fence, you think, I don't know whether I should buy this course or not, I would say don't. Like, I really do want people to feel like they got the most out of this thing. And so if someone's on the fence and they feel like, maybe this person doesn't know what they're talking about, maybe I can't really learn much from this, I would say don't buy it, because, it's only going to be for certain people. I think consume some of my free content, go on YouTube, and if you feel like there is some experience that you can learn from me, because with this course I'm basically teaching every single thing that I've learned over the last 10, 15, or however long I've been making beats, in terms of beat making, mixing, mastering, marketing, every single thing I know about this whole thing that I'm taking my whole experience and putting it into this course. So yeah, check out my free content. If it doesn't seem adequate to you in your standards, I would say to forego the course. But if you feel like I'm someone who might have a amount of knowledge in my brain that you could use, I'm putting it all into this course, because with YouTube, I can only cover one concept a week, and I can't really be comprehensive in that so much of beat making ties to other elements of beat making. It's hard for me to make a video on what you should do in terms of drum selection if we haven't talked about what your loop is doing and how many sort of layers are in your loop. And so this course sort of gives me that opportunity in taking every single thing about beat making and presenting it from front to finish. That's the big thing here. I'm teaching you every single step of the way, the things to look out for, the things that commonly pop up, the things that most people struggle with, and I want to address them every single step of the way with every single other element in mind. So I sort of have this sort of framework where I talk about what we've already created in the beat and how that's going to affect everything going forward. And that's pretty much impossible to do in a 10-minute video with beat making, but this is going to be hours and hours of content. And so yeah, it's going to be pretty much a full-on explanation on the beat making process from front to finish. Imagine if my mic was muted that entire time. That would be funny. All right, guys, moving on. That was a big rant. Let's move on to another review here. Oh, I think I pulled a muscle ranting that long. Let's listen to DJ Kex. I don't think I've heard DJ Kex's beats before. Sunflower, a chill beat. Let's dive right in. Lots of hugs and lots of kisses. Here we go. That's DJ Kex. A lot of people are talking about it's a guitar type song. You know what, in this example, it's done a little bit differently because it's not an angsty, trappy guitar type beat. This has its sort of own chill type of thing to it. So I didn't really hate the guitar in this beat. So it's a sort of chill beat. I think it did a good job in using very chill elements. I think what I would say is that there's a lot of people that are talking about the guitar and the pad just not working well. I sort of think there was a lot of confliction in terms of how they were used here. It's hard for me to point out exactly what the solution here would be, just because I don't know what you want to be a central component in the beat. If you were to go with the guitar, I would say minimize the pad. I really do like the pads in here though. If that was going to be your main focus for the beat, try to minimize the guitar. EQing, as Grout mentioned, might be a solution. It's hard to say what you want from this beat and how to solve the issue going towards that. But overall, I would say carving out specific spaces for all your layers here might have helped. Maybe pushing the pad further back into the beat, just because a pad is typically something that's a little bit more ethereal and a little bit less of the focus in the beat. And so maybe pushing that back, having that be a little bit more washed out, and EQing some of the tones in the beat might have helped the balance a little bit. So that might be something you want to try. Some people say the drums are a little bit not loud enough. But I sort of think it sort of worked with what the idea of the beat is. You're going for a sort of chill, lo-fi-ish type of thing. And with those types of beats, the drums are not going to be a central focus in the beat. So I sort of think that was done well. I just think the main components in the beat, the pad and the guitar, maybe having those elements be a little bit more separated in terms of the depth and the frequency space might have helped. But overall, it sort of worked. Even though it was a guitar beat, I don't hate it. So that's a good thumbs up, because I usually hate guitar type beats. Karasama's out of here. Hugs and kisses to Karasama. He's all the way across the world. 5 a.m. here. You guys are mad lads. I sleep a good 8 to 9 hours a night. That's what I recommend to everyone. Get your sleep in, boys and girls, because we're about to listen to a beat that's going to keep you up all night long. Guys, this is a big beat coming right up. I feel it in my bones. We have a beat from Sam Dot called Dérachané. I can speak French, guys, as you guys just heard. Dérachané is the beat name. Don't question me on that. I'm 100% sure that's correct. Formless, it's 5 a.m. there too. You guys are mad. Go to sleep, guys. Just watch the replay. How long did you sleep back in school? 8 to 9 hours, man. I did not ever sacrifice sleep. I would go to sleep at like 10 o'clock, wake up at... Actually, no. What time did I sleep when I went to school? I probably slept around... You know what? Maybe I slept for like... I remember sleeping for like 10 hours a night when I was in elementary. Maybe even high school when I think about it. I would sleep at like 10 or 11 and I'd wake up at 7 or 8, eat cereal in like 15 minutes, brush my teeth, slap some clothes on, and we'd be out the door. So yeah, I'm a sleepy boy. I have no regrets, guys. Here we go. Dérachané. Wait, what? This link will take you to SoundCloud. I don't want to go to SoundCloud. Just play it.
Is that
right, that was Sam's beat. We had an electric guitar type beat here. Again, I'm gonna say I wasn't too angry at the guitars in this beat either, just because they weren't angsty and you know, the type of guitar type beat where it sounds like is made by someone who's like writing poetry to their high school girlfriend. Those types of guitar type beats, I want nothing to do. This is very aggressive, very makes me wanna beat up my high school principal type beat. So I sort of like the direction of that. I like aggression. By the way, I read in the news recently that my old high school principal was caught in some sexual harassment. So I don't know why I brought that up. I have absolutely nothing else to say about that story. So let's just move on. With this beat, I think the mix might have helped creating a little bit more separation in between the elements. Might have helped. A lot of people said the highs in the beat really hurt their ears. Maybe I'm an old man with a lot of hair in my ears, but that didn't really cause an issue for me, or maybe it's just my monitors, I don't know. I have a very open space here, so I might be hearing something a little bit different, but nonetheless, I think you had a lot of distortion on the guitar, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but when you do add distortion, it's going to create an extreme amount of harmonic generation, so a lot of the tones that are going to be higher than what the bass sound is are going to sort of go up in its overall presence. And so with this guitar, which was already pretty high pitched, you're going to get a lot of frequencies in the even higher range of the frequency spectrum. So you might want to add an EQ at the end of your chain and you know, just cut out a lot of the, not a lot, but control some of the high end with this beat. I would say as well, it's an idea, I'm not sure if it will work, but I sort of felt like the things that were prominent in this beat were the guitar, the drums, and the 808. That's sort of the main elements in this beat overall. The guitar mainly sounded like it took up a lot of the sort of mid-range, sort of like 1,000, maybe even like 700 hertz and up. I sort of did feel like there might have been a pocket where you could have added some distortion onto the 808, and that would have filled up a little bit more room, and you would have a little bit more balance in the frequency spectrum. And if you sort of eased off the distortion from the guitar, maybe that would have created a little bit more of a balanced situation. I'm not a mixing engineer, so that's an idea that you can try out. I would say overall though, cool idea. I sort of like the aggression of it. As a lot of people said, there was a little bit of mixing issues, so whenever you add an extreme amount of distortion, you're going to get a lot of harmonic generation, so you're likely going to have to control the sound afterwards with some pretty deliberate EQing and filtering and spatial control. So yeah, I think with the guitar being as much of a focus of the beat and taking up as much of the room in the beat as it does, getting a little bit more control of it and maybe using the other elements to do a little bit more heavy lifting might be an idea. But cool beat overall though. I really like this type of beat. Thomas from Scotland, do you ever use stock vocal rap verses to hear how your beat would sound with the vocals? That is something that is actually a really good idea for a lot of people. I know for me, when I first started out, I did have the problem of just going a little bit too far, maybe adding too much stuff into the beat. A lot of the beats that I would get placements with that I would shoot or I would create that rappers would want to use were usually the stuff that I would eventually realize that it was the stuff that was a little bit more minimal and a little bit less sort of, you know, out there and a little bit more in the box and a little bit more constricted with how much was going on in the beat. And so I think that learning, that understanding of mine would have probably come sooner if I made beats using vocals. I think it's a really smart idea. If I first started making beats, I probably would have used that technique. As Groud says, the stock vocals I don't like very much. I find an acapella, use the actual genre of beat you're trying to make as a sort of reference point. You don't want to use like the stock FL vocals that are just like for a emo song or something and you make a rap beat out of it. That probably won't be a good idea. Guys, it's already an hour 45. Let's go. I want to go for a little bit longer. I'm having a good time. I have nowhere to be after this. My fantasy football team lost today. I hate fantasy football. I'm never playing it again. I'm probably going to cry after this. I'm going to watch a movie after this called Fireworks. It's a Japanese movie. Apparently it's really good. I've never watched it. So I'll be doing that. And it was my brother's birthday party yesterday, so I got some cake. I got some sprinkles. I'm going to add the sprinkles onto the cake and then put it in my mouth, guys. That's my strategy for tonight overall. We got this beat here. Honey P Digital. I've never heard of this participant before, but the young Honey P here has a beat. It's a Drake Asian Doll Hardy Caprio. I haven't heard of that fella. It's a drill type beat, maybe that's why. So let's get into Honey P Digital's beat here.
HoneyBeeDigital.com.
Honey P Digital. Interesting beat there. Some of you guys said you don't like reading foreign movies. I enjoy it. A lot of Korean movies, like the horror Korean movies, like the stuff they do in Korean movies is just so over the top and brutal and violent. You can't see that type of stuff in Hollywood. They don't make stuff like that. So, yeah. What was I going to say again? I don't know. Anyways, with this beat, I really like the textures that were used throughout the beat. I think this beat did a great job of creating separation between all the sounds. In terms of the overall depth, you had certain piano sounds that were very ethereal and very sort of reverbed out. And you had certain sounds that were a little bit more forward and a little bit more in your face. I think that was a really cool or really well done component in the beat. I really loved the effects that were added onto the vocal to make them be really glitchy and really unique. I don't think I really heard anything like that in terms of the typical beats I review, but that was a really cool, unique, out there idea, and I think it really landed. I think the vocal sample itself might not have been on point. I think the pitch might be the reason why. I think it's out of key. The vocal sample itself might be out of key, or maybe it's just not a good vocal sample to begin with, maybe trying something else. But the way you use the effects on the vocals here, the vocal sample, really cool, really unique, really added a cool dimension into the beat. Overall, is a really well done, put together beat. I think the 808 did have a little bit of issues as well. There were certain notes that weren't really, that were a tiny bit off. It sort of went back and forth between being on point and then just straying off a little bit. But overall, I really like the idea of the beat. I really like that sort of nighttime vibe, this sort of ethereal, moody type of thing. I think that was your intention with the beat, and I think you did it excellently. It's just some of the small components. I would have changed that vocal sample and maybe investigate what's going on with the 808, because it does need a little bit more work. But the overall textures in the beat and the sound selection was really well done. So kudos to Honeybee. Have I ever seen the North Korean version of Godzilla? I have not. I didn't know they had one. Oh wait, are you talking? No, that's not Godzilla. There's this movie called The Host. That's Korean. It's like a monster movie, but that's not Godzilla. Have you seen I Saw the Devil? Yes, that was a very brutal movie, and it was awesome. The only big North Korean movie I haven't seen was Old Boy. I watched like the first half of it, and there's like one scene where there's a giant cockroach on the subway, and I was like, I don't know what's going on with this movie right now. It's very weird. My favorite movie is probably Memories of a Murderer. Was that what it's called? Yeah. Either that one or The Chaser. The Chaser is about a pimp trying to find his hoe. And he sort of goes around the city because a serial killer has captured his hoe. So this pimp's got to find his hoe. It sounds absurd, but it's actually really, really awesome. Train to Busan, have I seen that? I don't think I have. Is it a zombie movie? I sort of remember seeing previews for it, but I was like, I'm sort of sick of zombie movies. I should watch The Taxi Driver with De Niro. That Taxi Driver? Or is there another one that I have not seen yet? Ocarina Dreamer, he's up next. In his message, he says, please, but he is the very last to submit, and that's why he's getting chosen. I think the system's working so far, guys. He's got this very slimy beat here. So most of you guys are going to have slime all over you. So make sure your mom doesn't walk in on you and gets the wrong idea, because this beat's going to slime on you. He's a farmer. Who's a farmer? Best movie ever, in my opinion. Oh boy, don't get me started. I've got a particular taste of my own. My personal favorite movie of all time is top 3 is Good Will Hunting, Truman Show, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's weird. I have 2 Jim Carrey movies in my top 2, and they're like serious roles. But if someone said those aren't their favorites, I have no ground to argue. I don't know. It's hard to say what the best objective movie is of all time. Those are just my favorite. Let me know what your favorite movies are of all time, guys. And we're going to listen to this Ocarina Dreamer. Judging from his Discord image, he's a young chap. Shawshank Redemption is also an excellent movie. I remember getting very emotional last time I watched it, but that's because I was high as hell. Here we go, guys. Slimy beat. was the Young Ocarina Dreamers beat there. Slime-tacular Moon beat. I want to quickly scroll through the chat to see what you guys say. I want to see some favorite movies here. Shawshank Redemption. Good Will Hunting is amazing. I'm glad we're on the same page. Blade Runner. I only watched the recent one. Whenever I tried to watch the old one, I don't know, something about it, it just moves so slowly. I just could not get into it. I really like the idea of the dystopian future, but could not get into that. Usual Suspects. I loved that movie when I was younger, but I recently watched it, and it was a lot of corniness that I was surprised I didn't catch when I was younger. There's so many like cliche lines, and like the writing is just so on the nose, and like so just straight out of like any mystery movie, 90s movie that is just a little bit cringy. Still a great movie when you watch it the first time. That twist is awesome. Jurassic Park, cool. I like art house. Some of the artsy stuff, some of the really, really artsy movies annoy me when it gets way too far up their own asses. Like a good example of a movie that everyone liked that was like way too up its own ass was that last Jordan Peele movie, Us or whatever. I'm just like, all right, enough with the wacky symbolism. It just did not land for me. This Is England. That movie, Stephen Graham in This Is England scared the shit out of me. He's like the scariest actor. When he gets angry in movies, I sometimes get scared that I'm going to get beat up. Shawshank, American History X, excellent movie. Pulp Fiction, Fight Club, Boondocks. I watched the Boondock Saints when I was young, and I was like, what? This is a very strange twist. Sherlock Holmes movies. That's a very interesting favorite movie. Django, great movie. All right, anyways, with the beat, I think overall with the mix, the levels could have been improved. I think the drums are very loud, but none of the instruments in the beat really were prominent. I think a big takeaway, what I would advise the young ocarina man himself, I did a video a little while back on 4 things that you can do to get your beats to sound professional, and in it I talked about this concept of spotlight. The idea being you need to choose a sound in your beat to be the main focus, to be in the spotlight, and all the other textures need to start being a little bit more secondary and supplemental to that sound. I think with a lot of the instrumentation in this beat, you had a piano, you had the flute, you had that, is it a Celestica? No. That old-timey key piano, I can't remember what the instrument is, but you had multiple instruments that were all at the exact same level volume wise, were at the exact same depth. They were all very in your face and dry, and so you had a lot of like, it was hard to really catch what this beat was going for, just because a lot of the sounds in this beat were sitting in the exact same space. So what I would say is play around with separating your sounds up by using EQs, by using reverbs, maybe pushing some sounds to the back in terms of depth, bringing some of the sounds volumes up, making sounds brighter that you want to be a little bit more in your face, and reducing the brighter frequencies that are a little bit more in back. I remember, I can't remember where I heard it, but imagine if you're at the Grand Canyon and you clap your hands and then the echo comes back. As you can imagine, every single time the echo comes back, the less and less you hear those high frequencies, and it starts to become a little bit more of like a low frequency sound. And that's the exact type of thing that you want to play around with when it comes to depth. If you want something to sound like it's a little bit more echoey, a little bit more further back, reduce some of those high-end frequencies and add some reverb on top of it. That's a great way to create some separation. So I think that's the main culprit and main piece of advice I would give to the Ocarina Dreamer. Watch that video and think about the concepts I talk about in terms of picking a sound to be in the spotlight and maybe playing around with some of the other elements to be a little bit more secondary. I have a video coming out next month. I think a lot of people will like it. It's me pointing out it's a fix the subscriber beat video where I point out some red flags with the beats. And so I talk about this exact concept in that video, what I think you guys will like. I like Sunny Leone videos. Get this pervert out of here, guys. Blade Runner, best movie ever. The Harrison Ford one or the old one? I mean, the new one. Oh boy, Interstellar. Love that movie. Interstellar is such a great movie. Ghost Dog. I think RZA, must watch for any sample beatmaker. I think RZA did the soundtrack to that. Sunset Overdrive. I don't think I know what that is. That's not David Lynch, is it? Best revenge movie, Count of Monte Cristo. I've had the book sitting on my shelf for like months. I'm very illiterate and stupid, so I can't read. Here we go, guys. Jake Charter says, but I knew who she was. I plead the fifth. I'm not going to say any more. Fatal Slap. Ocelot himself. He has this beat here. And we're going to do a deep dive into Ocelot's beat. Goranger. Another French title, I assume. Goranger. Let's take a dive in. Short little beat by Ocelot. Hard to give a critique here. I think my cool idea, really cool sounds. This beat was very Clams Casino-esque. It did a good job of adding a lot of depth, and the low end was very prominent, a lot like a lot of Clams' beats. I think some of the bass notes were off. I think you chose the wrong bass notes here and there, so I think some of the adjustments needs to be done on the low end. But overall, cool idea. I would have liked to hear how this beat would have sounded to it and if it was a fully formed idea, structurally speaking. But yeah, cool beat by Ocelot. Cool, unique sound, very novel. I just would have wanted to see what you could do with the sample, to see what your chopping skills are, to really figure out whether you understand what you can do structurally with sampling. All right, guys. Last beat of the night here, because I have to urinate once again, unfortunately. Thank you guys for showing up. We're going to do one more beat, but I just want to thank you guys before you leave. Thank you for submitting. I know it might not have been what you wanted because you didn't get your beat heard, but that's just the way it is sometimes, unfortunately. Next stream is going to be, is it Christmas in 2 weeks? I don't want to do it on Christmas, the 27th. I'm actually busy on the 27th. I'm not sure when the next stream will be, so maybe I'll do one next week, and then I'll take the 2 weeks after that off, because I have a Secret Santa on the 27th, and we're going to be playing Jackbox games. So yeah, thank you guys for showing up. I'll let you guys know when the next stream is going to be. If you are interested in the course, go to betterbeatmaker.com, sign up for the waitlist. You'll get early access, discounts, bonuses, and stuff if you are on the waitlist. So make sure to join up. And the next video coming out is something that maybe you'll, I don't know why I'm even bringing it up because I have nothing to say about it. Coming out on Tuesday, that's what I'll say. And the last beat of the night, hopefully we end off on a high note here. A very beautiful picture. This is this beat here by Franz Winter Blossom. Let's take a dive in. Thank you guys for showing up. Let's take a listen. Nope, we're not going out on a guitar type beat. Let's listen. I'm sorry to my friend there, but I am not going to be listening to a guitar type beat for the last beat of the night. Just cannot do it. We'll listen to Asama for Holy Light. Here we go. Sama one-on-one about this beat, so I want to give someone who has not had their beat reviewed by me. Sorry Sama, if I'll talk to you one-on-one about that beat if you message me. Europa Trap Beat by Arnel Advish. Here we go, guys. Vish, Europa trap beat. Some of you guys really did not like the choice of the hi-hat, it sounds like. Made on a stolen program type beat. I don't know what that means. I think the low end here needs improvement. That kick that you chose here was very like boxy. It didn't really do what a kick should do. There was not much punch to it. It sort of had a very unpleasant tone to it in the higher ends. So I think I would replace a lot of the low end and really balance it out a little bit and replace that kick. I like the main synth in the beat. I think maybe using it to fill a little bit more space in the beat, adding some delay, more reverb, and really have it do a little bit more heavy lifting might have helped the beat out, just because it did feel a little bit sparse and minimal. Yeah, so those are the things that I would focus on with that beat. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for now. Once again, guys, thank you for showing up. Hugs and kisses. I'll let you know when the next review is gonna be. It might be next week because it's gonna be Christmas and stuff, so I don't want to tie people up during the Christmas season. Thank you guys for showing up, and hope you had fun time, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.